Have you ever felt like there's a part of you that's hidden, a side you can't quite understand, but it keeps showing up in your dreams, fears, and relationships? Carl Jung believed this wasn't a mistake. He called it the path of individuation, the ultimate journey to becoming your true self. Today, we'll uncover how you can face your shadow, unlock your inner potential, and discover the wholeness you were always meant to live. Throughout history, across diverse cultures and eras, humans have woven tales of brave heroes venturing beyond their familiar realms in pursuit of something greater. These legendary figures faced fearsome dragons, traversed vast deserts, encountered wise mentors, and returned forever changed. Carl Jung, the renowned psychologist, believed these narratives were more than mere entertaining myths. He saw them as reflections of a profound journey occurring within every human being. Jung called this inner odyssey individuation, the process of becoming one's true self. Individuation isn't about superficial self-improvement, like amassing wealth, climbing corporate ladders, or gaining popularity. Rather, it's a quest for wholeness, a journey to integrate all aspects of your psyche, including the hidden or uncomfortable parts, so that you can live as a complete, authentic individual. Jung used the language of symbols, archetypes, and dreams to explain this concept, but its truth can be observed in our everyday lives. Consider Sarah, a young woman in her late 20s. On the surface, Sarah's life seems perfectly fine. She has a stable career, a circle of friends, and a comfortable routine. Yet each night as she lies in bed, a quiet restlessness gnaws at her, as if some essential part of her being is missing. Her dreams are often unsettling. She finds herself lost in labyrinthine cities or pursued by shadowy figures she can't quite see. Come morning, she dismisses these nocturnal visions, but deep down, she senses they carry a significant message. Jung would say that Sarah stands at the threshold of individuation. Her unconscious mind is calling out, urging her to pay attention. The journey of individuation begins when a person becomes aware of the tension between their outward self, their persona, and the deeper, often hidden forces within. The persona is the mask we don to function in society, polite, agreeable, hardworking. It serves a purpose and is even necessary, but if we mistake this mask for our entire identity, life begins to feel hollow and inauthentic. Sarah, like many people, has been living primarily from her persona. The cracks in this facade manifest in her dreams and her persistent sense of unease. The first great challenge in the individuation process is confronting the shadow, those aspects of ourselves we've buried or denied. These may be negative traits like anger, jealousy, or fear, but they can also be positive qualities we've suppressed, such as creativity, assertiveness, or vulnerability. For Sarah, her shadow appears in dreams as the elusive figures that pursue her. Initially, she recoils from these images, but Jung would caution, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. The shadow isn't inherently evil. It's simply unacknowledged energy. To ignore it is to live only half a life. Embarking on the individuation journey is akin to stepping into a dense forest at night. The darkness represents all the unknown aspects of the psyche. Most people linger at the edge, afraid to venture deeper. But those who take that courageous step forward, through therapy, introspection, artistic expression, spiritual practices, or even honest conversations, begin to uncover hidden treasures within themselves. Sarah, intrigued by her recurring dreams, starts keeping a dream journal and delves into Jung's writings. She gradually realizes that the shadowy figures in her dreams aren't her enemies, but neglected parts of herself, her suppressed ambition, her unexpressed anger at feeling overlooked, her longing for genuine connection. Confronting the shadow doesn't destroy it, it transforms and integrates it. Yet the shadow is just one step on this profound journey. Jung also spoke of the anima and animus, the inner feminine in men and the inner masculine in women. These archetypes represent qualities that bring balance to our psyche. Sarah, for instance, was raised to always be nurturing, accommodating, and emotionally available. But through her dreams, she encounters a stern, authoritative figure who challenges her. At first, she's unsettled by this presence. Later, she recognizes it as a manifestation of her inner animus, her capacity for assertiveness, logical thinking, and setting boundaries. By acknowledging and integrating this energy, Sarah becomes more whole, less confined by societal expectations of femininity. At the core of individuation lies the self, not the ego, not the social mask, but the totality of who we are. Jung often depicted the self using symbols like the circle, the mandala, or the divine child. The self is the center that harmonizes all opposites, light and dark, masculine and feminine, conscious and unconscious. Individuation is the lifelong journey of aligning the ego with this deeper self. In Sarah's story, her journey has only just begun. By paying attention to her dreams and facing her shadow, she has taken the first steps on this path. But individuation is neither quick nor easy. It's not a straight line, but a spiral, circling back on itself while moving ever deeper. Each time Sarah thinks she has herself figured out, new layers emerge, challenging her understanding. Yet with each turn of the spiral, she feels more alive, more authentic, more in tune with her true nature. As Sarah continues her journey, she begins to notice changes in her waking life. She finds herself speaking up more at work, voicing opinions she would have previously kept to herself. She rediscovers a passion for painting, a hobby she had abandoned years ago as impractical. Her relationships deepen as she becomes more honest about her needs and feelings. There are struggles too, confronting long-held beliefs, facing fears, and sometimes feeling lost. But even in the difficult moments, Sarah senses she's on the right path. Individuation doesn't mean becoming perfect or achieving some idealized state. It's about becoming more fully yourself, with all your complexities and contradictions. It's a process of integration, not elimination. Sarah learns to embrace both her nurturing side and her assertiveness, her logical mind and her intuition, her strength and her vulnerability. She begins to see that true growth often comes from holding these seeming opposites in balance. As we witness Sarah's journey, we're reminded that each of us carries within us the potential for this profound transformation. The call to individuation whispers in our moments of discontent, in the dreams that puzzle us, in the longings we can't quite name. It invites us to look beyond the surface of our lives and dive into the rich, sometimes turbulent waters of our inner world. The path of individuation is not about reaching a final destination, but about the journey itself. It's a continuous process of becoming, of unfolding, of allowing our true nature to emerge. As we walk this path, we may find that the dragons we face are our own fears and limiting beliefs. The deserts we cross might be periods of doubt or confusion, and the wise guides we meet could be aspects of our own deeper wisdom, waiting to be recognized. In embracing the journey of individuation, we honor the complexity of the human psyche and the richness of human experience. We move beyond simplistic notions of good and bad, right and wrong, to a more nuanced understanding of ourselves and the world. This journey asks for courage, patience, and compassion for ourselves and for others. But it offers in return a life lived with greater authenticity, depth, and meaning. As we close this exploration of individuation, let us remember that each of us is on our own unique path. There is no one-size-fits-all approach to becoming our true selves. What matters is that we listen to the call when it comes, that we have the courage to step into the unknown parts of ourselves, and that we remain open to the wisdom and transformation that await us on this profound journey of self-discovery. Sarah's dreams became more intense, and the shadowy figure that haunted her nights began to communicate, not through words, but through raw emotions. Anxiety, rage, and despair swirled around her like a tempest. Initially, she tried to push these feelings away, believing that if she ignored them, they would vanish. But Carl Jung had cautioned, the shadow never truly disappears. It patiently waits for acknowledgement. When neglected, it can manifest in unexpected ways. Sudden outbursts, self-destructive behaviors, or the projection of our own flaws onto others. One afternoon, Sarah found herself lashing out at a colleague over a trivial matter. Later, as she reflected on the incident, she was startled by the intensity of her reaction. It was her shadow seeping into her conscious life. Jung believed this is how the unconscious mind communicates. It compels us to confront what we've buried deep within ourselves. Sarah realized she could no longer avoid this confrontation. She began a daily ritual of journaling, but not the superficial kind, where one simply lists tasks or fleeting emotions. Instead, she wrote as if she were engaging in a dialogue with her shadow self, posing questions like, "Why do you pursue me?" and "What secrets are you concealing?" Gradually, the shadow revealed its true nature. It carried within it Sarah's repressed creativity, the part of her that yearned to sing, to dance, and to take bold risks, as well as her resentment at being overlooked by her family and society at large. Recognizing these hidden aspects of herself was both terrifying and profoundly liberating. Jung emphasized that the process of individuation is about integration, not elimination. The shadow is not an adversary to be vanquished. It is a lost fragment of our true self. By acknowledging its presence, Sarah began to reclaim her inner power. She started singing again, drawing inspiration from the dreamscapes that had once filled her with dread. She allowed herself to express emotions she had long suppressed. Her relationships began to shift as well. She became less reactive, less judgmental, and more authentically herself. Yet the shadow was merely one piece of a larger puzzle. Jung also spoke of the animus, the inner masculine in women, which represents logic, assertiveness, and action. In Sarah's dreams, a mysterious male figure continued to appear. Sometimes he guided her gently, revealing paths through seemingly impassable terrain. Other times, he challenged her, urging her to confront aspects of herself she had resisted. At first, Sarah dismissed these visions as mere flights of fancy, thinking, "This is just my imagination running wild." But she began to notice subtle changes in her waking life. She found herself trusting her instincts more in small decisions, choosing projects that resonated deeply with her soul, listening to her gut feelings instead of relying solely on rational analysis. The animus was helping her access a more complete range of human experience. Jung believed that ignoring the anima or animus leads to imbalance, causing women to become overly emotional or men to become excessively rigid. By engaging with these inner guides, Sarah was able to achieve a greater sense of equilibrium in her inner world. As Sarah continued on this journey of self-discovery, she began to notice patterns in her life that she had previously overlooked. Recurring conflicts, unfulfilled desires, and even moments of unexpected joy all pointed to aspects of herself that had been hidden or misunderstood. Jung called this phenomenon synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that reflect the ongoing dialogue between the conscious and unconscious mind. A chance encounter with an old friend, a book that seemed to fall off the shelf at just the right moment, or even a recurring number sequence could be interpreted as messages from her psyche, guiding her forward on her path. Individuation is not a single moment of enlightenment, but a lifelong spiral of growth and self-discovery. Each layer of the unconscious that Sarah uncovered revealed even deeper mysteries waiting to be explored. She came to understand that every person she interacted with was, in some way, a reflection of herself. aspects of her shadow, her animus, or other archetypes projected onto the world around her. Relationships became mirrors, teaching her lessons she could never have learned in isolation. Through this ongoing process, Sarah began to experience a growing sense of wholeness and integration. She was far from perfect, and she still faced struggles and challenges, but she was increasingly aware of the many facets of her being. The fears that had once dominated her dreams now appeared as invitations rather than threats. Her shadow was no longer a pursuer to be feared, but a companion, urging her to embrace her creativity, assertiveness, and authenticity. At the heart of Sarah's journey was the recognition of the self, the central archetype that unifies all opposites within the psyche. The self is often represented by symbols like the mandala, a circular form, perfectly balanced, containing all parts within a harmonious whole. For Sarah, this symbol became a powerful focus for meditation and self-reflection. By contemplating the mandala, she could see her shadow, her animus, her conscious ego, and even her deepest drives as parts of a single, interconnected system. As she delved deeper into her inner world, Sarah began to understand that becoming her true self was not about achieving some idealized version of perfection. Instead, it was about embracing all aspects of her being, the light and the dark, the conscious and the unconscious, and integrating them into a cohesive whole. She learned to listen to the wisdom of her dreams, to trust her intuition, and to honor the parts of herself she had once rejected or feared. This journey of self-discovery was not always easy. There were moments of doubt, periods of confusion, and times when Sarah felt as though she was losing her way. But she persevered, knowing that each challenge was an opportunity for growth and deeper understanding. She sought out mentors and fellow travelers on the path of individuation, finding comfort and inspiration in shared experiences and collective wisdom. As Sarah continued to work with her shadow and animus, she noticed a profound shift in her relationships with others. By accepting and integrating the different aspects of herself, she became more accepting of others' complexities and contradictions. She found herself less prone to judgment and more open to genuine connection. Her increased self-awareness allowed her to set healthier boundaries and communicate her needs more effectively. The process of becoming her true self also had a profound impact on Sarah's creative life. As she embraced the parts of herself she had once suppressed, she found new wells of inspiration and expression. Her art became more authentic and powerful, resonating with others in ways she had never imagined possible. She began to see her creative work not just as a means of self-expression, but as a way to connect with the collective unconscious and contribute to the healing of the world around her. As Sarah's journey unfolded, she came to understand that becoming her true self was not a destination to be reached, but an ongoing process of growth and discovery. Each day brought new insights, new challenges, and new opportunities for integration and wholeness. She learned to embrace the mystery of her own being, to dance with the shadows, and to trust in the wisdom of her inner guides. In the end, Sarah realized that the path to becoming her true self was not about becoming someone new, but about uncovering and embracing who she had always been beneath the layers of conditioning and fear. It was a journey of remembering, of coming home to herself in the deepest sense. And as she continued to walk this path, she found that her life became richer, more meaningful, and more authentically her own with each passing day. As Sarah embarked on her journey of self-discovery, she realized that becoming her true self was not merely about introspection or analyzing her dreams. The real challenge arose when her unconscious began to manifest in the external world. Life presented her with obstacles that mirrored the inner conflicts she had been exploring. Her career, relationships, and societal expectations suddenly felt like an intricate maze, each turn reflecting unresolved aspects of her psyche. Psychologists believe that the unconscious communicates through archetypes, universal symbols and characters that appear in myths, dreams, and everyday life. For Sarah, the first archetype she encountered outside her dreams was the explorer. In her professional life, an unexpected opportunity to lead a groundbreaking project forced her to step out of her comfort zone, embrace uncertainty, and make bold decisions. Initially, she hesitated, fearing the unknown and potential failure. But gradually, she recognized that this challenge was a call to align her conscious self with her deeper capacities: curiosity, adaptability, and resilience. However, her shadow self still lingered. Old patterns of self-doubt and risk aversion resurfaced. When her innovative ideas were met with skepticism by colleagues, she felt an urge to retreat, to let fear and insecurity take over. Yet Sarah remembered the lessons of the shadow. The darker parts of herself were not adversaries, but potential allies when acknowledged. By confronting these uncomfortable emotions directly, without self-judgment, she discovered new wellsprings of creativity and determination. Every obstacle became an opportunity to integrate more of herself, to transform anxiety into excitement and hesitation into action. Another archetype that emerged in Sarah's life was the sage, symbolizing inner wisdom and guidance. She encountered mentors, books, and experiences that seemed to appear at just the right moment, offering insights that resonated deeply with her journey. One particularly influential mentor encouraged her to question her long-held beliefs about success and happiness. This led Sarah to reassess her career goals, realizing that true fulfillment came not from external achievements, but from aligning her work with her authentic values and passions. As she continued on her path, Sarah encountered the archetype of the caregiver. This manifested in her personal relationships, where she found herself naturally taking on nurturing roles. At first, this felt familiar and comfortable, but she soon realized that her tendency to care for others often came at the expense of her own needs. The challenge was to find balance, to nurture others without losing sight of her own growth and well-being. The process of becoming her true self was not linear. Sarah experienced periods of rapid growth, followed by moments of doubt and regression. She learned that this was a natural part of the journey. The archetype of the trickster often appeared during these times, challenging her assumptions and forcing her to confront her own contradictions. These experiences, though sometimes uncomfortable, ultimately led to deeper self-awareness and authenticity. One of the most profound realizations Sarah had was the importance of embracing all aspects of herself, including those she had previously rejected or ignored. The archetype of the shadow continued to play a crucial role in her journey. She began to see how her perceived weaknesses, when acknowledged and integrated, could become sources of strength. Her tendency to overthink, for instance, when channeled constructively, became a valuable asset in problem-solving and strategic planning. As Sarah's journey progressed, she found that becoming her true self was not about reaching a fixed destination, but about embracing a continuous process of growth and self-discovery. The archetype of the eternal child reminded her of the importance of maintaining a sense of wonder and playfulness, even as she navigated adult responsibilities and challenges. This helped her approach life with curiosity and openness, allowing for new experiences and perspectives to shape her evolving sense of self. The concept of individuation, central to becoming one's true self, became increasingly clear to Sarah. She understood that it wasn't about perfecting herself or eliminating flaws, but about integrating all aspects of her personality into a cohesive whole. This integration allowed her to respond to life's challenges with greater flexibility and authenticity. Sarah's relationships began to transform as she became more aligned with her true self. She found herself attracting people who appreciated her authentic nature, and she was able to form deeper, more meaningful connections. The archetype of the lover emerged, not just in romantic relationships, but in her capacity for deep, genuine connections in all areas of her life. One of the most challenging aspects of Sarah's journey was confronting societal expectations that conflicted with her emerging sense of self. The archetype of the rebel came into play as she learned to question and, when necessary, defy norms that didn't align with her authentic values. This required courage and often led to difficult conversations with family, friends, and colleagues. However, each time she stood firm in her truth, she felt a stronger connection to her core self. As Sarah continued to grow, she began to recognize the interconnectedness of all things. The archetype of the mystic emerged, bringing with it a sense of unity and purpose that transcended her individual journey. She started to see how her personal growth could contribute to the well-being of others and the world around her. This perspective shift added a new dimension to her understanding of what it meant to be her true self. The journey of becoming her true self also involved reconciling different aspects of her identity. Sarah found herself navigating between various roles and identities, professional, personal, cultural, and learning to integrate them into a coherent sense of self. The archetype of the shapeshifter taught her the value of adaptability without losing her core essence. As Sarah's journey unfolded, she realized that becoming her true self was not about reaching a final, perfect state. Instead, it was about embracing the ongoing process of growth, change, and self-discovery. She learned to celebrate her progress while remaining open to further evolution. The archetype of the phoenix reminded her that transformation was a constant and that each challenge and setback held the potential for rebirth and renewal. In the end, Sarah understood that becoming her true self was a lifelong journey. It required courage, patience, and a willingness to face both the light and shadow aspects of her nature. As she continued on this path, she found a deep sense of peace and authenticity. She realized that the true self is not a fixed destination, but a dynamic, ever-evolving expression of one's innermost essence, constantly interacting with and adapting to the world around it. In the journey of self-discovery, many encounter the archetype of the wise old man, a symbol of inner guidance and wisdom. This figure often appears in unexpected ways, offering insights that illuminate our path forward. For Sarah, these encounters came through mentors, books, and even casual conversations that seemed perfectly timed. A chance remark from a co-worker, a poignant line in a novel, or a sudden realization during meditation would unlock hidden truths, as if her unconscious mind was gently guiding her forward. As Sarah delved deeper into her personal growth, she began to notice how her relationships served as powerful mirrors of her inner world. Her romantic partnerships, family dynamics, and professional connections started to reflect various aspects of her psyche, the anima, animus, and shadow. When she experienced tension with a friend, she often realized it was revealing her own unacknowledged traits. Moments of deep admiration or attraction towards others sometimes highlighted qualities she longed to nurture within herself. These interactions became a fertile ground for self-understanding, forcing Sarah to recognize her projections and confront unconscious tendencies. The path of becoming one's true self inevitably involves confronting societal pressures. Sarah had long followed norms and expectations that didn't truly resonate with her inner being. She had pursued a career deemed practical, adhered to social conventions, and sought validation through external achievements. However, the journey towards authenticity demanded courage, the willingness to choose a path aligned with her true self rather than the persona she had cultivated. This often felt isolating, as friends and family sometimes criticized her choices. unable to comprehend her inner transformation. Yet Sarah came to understand that this process wasn't about pleasing others, but about honoring the entirety of who she was. A pivotal moment came to Sarah in a dream. She found herself in a vast, circular chamber, its walls adorned with intricate symbols, animals, celestial bodies, and human figures interwoven in perfect harmony. At the center stood a radiant being, neither male nor female, both familiar and strange. It emanated a sense of calm, completeness, and infinite potential. Sarah felt a profound recognition. This was the self, the central archetype representing wholeness, balance, and the unity of opposites. She awoke with a sense of awe, realizing that every challenge, every confrontation with her shadow, every encounter with archetypes had been guiding her towards this inner center. The journey of self-discovery is often described as a spiral rather than a linear path. Each step forward brings new layers of the unconscious into awareness. Sarah understood that this wasn't about reaching a final destination, but about continuously deepening her self-understanding. By engaging with her shadow, anima, and archetypal guides, she was learning to harmonize conflicting forces within herself, cultivating inner wholeness. Through these trials and revelations, Sarah began to experience a newfound sense of inner freedom. She no longer felt entirely controlled by fear, habit, or social expectations. Instead, she felt a growing alignment between her conscious choices and her inner truth. She was learning to act from a place of authenticity, guided by both intuition and reason. This process of becoming her true self, she realized, was an ongoing journey of embracing all aspects of her being, light and dark, strength and vulnerability, logic and emotion, as integral parts of a unified self. As Sarah continued on this path, she noticed subtle yet profound changes in her daily life. Her interactions with others became more genuine and meaningful. She found herself speaking her truth more often, even when it was uncomfortable. Her creative pursuits took on new depth and resonance, as if tapping into a wellspring of inspiration that had always been there, waiting to be acknowledged. The process of becoming one's true self also involved reassessing long-held beliefs and values. Sarah found herself questioning ideas she'd accepted without thought, examining them in the light of her growing self-awareness. Some beliefs were reinforced, while others were discarded or transformed. This constant re-evaluation became an integral part of her journey, ensuring that her worldview remained aligned with her evolving sense of self. One of the most challenging aspects of this journey was learning to embrace paradox. Sarah discovered that becoming her true self didn't mean achieving a fixed, unchanging state. Instead, it meant developing the capacity to hold opposing truths simultaneously. She could be both strong and vulnerable, rational and intuitive, independent and interconnected. This ability to navigate complexity and ambiguity became a hallmark of her personal growth. As Sarah's journey progressed, she began to notice synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that seemed to guide her path. A book would fall open to just the right page, offering insight into a current dilemma. A chance encounter would lead to a life-changing opportunity. These experiences reinforced her sense of being on the right path, even when the way forward wasn't always clear. The journey of becoming one's true self also involved facing fears and insecurities head-on. Sarah learned to see these not as obstacles to be overcome, but as integral parts of her psyche that needed acknowledgement and integration. By embracing her fears, rather than running from them, she found they often transformed into sources of strength and wisdom. As Sarah's understanding of herself deepened, she began to see the interconnectedness of all things. Her personal journey was not separate from the world around her. She realized that by becoming more authentically herself, she was better able to contribute to her community and the world at large. Her increased self-awareness led to greater empathy and understanding for others, as she recognized the universal human struggle for authenticity and meaning. The path of self-discovery also led Sarah to a deeper appreciation for the natural world. She found solace and inspiration in nature, recognizing it as a mirror for her inner landscape. The cycles of growth, decay, and renewal in the natural world reflected her own process of psychological transformation. This connection to nature became a source of grounding and renewal as she navigated the challenges of her inner journey. As Sarah continued to integrate the various aspects of her psyche, she found that her sense of purpose became clearer. It wasn't about achieving specific external goals, but about living in alignment with her true nature. This sense of purpose provided a compass for navigating life's complexities, helping her make decisions that resonated with her authentic self. The journey of becoming one's true self is ongoing, with no final destination. Sarah came to embrace this truth, finding joy in the process of continuous growth and self-discovery. She learned to balance the desire for growth with self-acceptance, recognizing that she was always both a work in progress and complete as she was in each moment. In the end, Sarah realized that becoming her true self was not about reaching perfection or achieving a static state of being. It was about developing the capacity to live authentically, to navigate life's challenges with integrity, and to contribute meaningfully to the world around her. It was a journey of continuous unfolding, of deepening self-awareness, and of embracing the full spectrum of human experience. And in this ongoing process of becoming, Sarah found a profound sense of fulfillment and purpose. Sarah had reached a pivotal moment in her journey of self-discovery, where life seemed to both challenge and guide her simultaneously. She had confronted her shadow self, begun to recognize her animus, and responded to the archetypal calls of the hero and the wise old woman. Yet, as Jung cautioned, the process of individuation remained incomplete without the integration of opposites, the reconciliation of conflicting forces within the psyche. Light and dark, conscious and unconscious, masculine and feminine, all demanded acknowledgement and balance. One quiet evening, Sarah found herself reflecting on a recurring theme in her dreams, a vast open field where two paths diverged, one bathed in sunlight and the other shrouded in mist. She realized that this symbolized her inner tension, the constant push and pull between certainty and mystery, comfort and growth, logic and intuition. The crossroads, both inviting and daunting, represented her conscious choices, while the paths themselves embodied the unconscious forces she had been slowly exploring. The realization dawned on her. She could not control where the paths led, but she could choose how to walk them. Jung referred to this process as confrontation with the self, facing both the known and unknown without resistance, learning to navigate life's journey with awareness and intention. To navigate this inner landscape, Sarah turned to symbolic practices. She began keeping a dream journal, recording the vivid imagery and emotions that surfaced in her sleep. Each entry she wrote reflected her inner struggles, shadowy figures, intertwined symbols of strength and vulnerability, radiant guiding lights. Through this nocturnal exploration, she saw patterns emerging. Previously disconnected experiences and traits were beginning to form a coherent narrative. The self, she understood, was not an abstract concept, but a living, dynamic essence within her, waiting to be acknowledged and expressed. Simultaneously, Sarah's interactions with others took on new depth and meaning. Jung emphasized that relationships serve as mirrors of the psyche, reflecting the parts we fail to recognize in ourselves. A heated disagreement with a colleague brought to light assertiveness she had long suppressed, while a child's innocent question revealed wonder she had forgotten. By observing these interactions without judgment, she began to integrate qualities she had either denied or projected onto others. Her sense of self was no longer fragmented. Every trait, even those she once considered flaws, became part of her emerging wholeness. Spiritually, Sarah started to experience a sense of connectedness beyond her individual existence. Jung described this as an encounter with the numinous, a profound, often ineffable feeling of presence, wisdom, or divinity within the psyche. Sarah experienced this while walking in nature and during moments of deep introspection. She realized that the self was not only the center of her psyche, but also a bridge between her inner world and the greater mysteries of existence. Individuation was simultaneously personal and universal, grounding her in both her unique identity and a sense of oneness with all life. Challenges, however, did not vanish. Moments of doubt and fear returned. Old habits resurfaced, and societal expectations still tugged at her. Jung believed that individuation is not about achieving perfection, but about ongoing growth and awareness. Every time Sarah recognized an old pattern or resisted the temptation to fall back into comfortable but limiting behaviors, she was given a chance to reaffirm her alignment with her true self. These repeated confrontations strengthened her inner cohesion and resolve. Sarah also discovered the crucial importance of self-compassion. She realized that harsh judgment of her mistakes or avoidance of uncomfortable emotions only reinforced inner fragmentation. By approaching her flaws with curiosity and kindness, she allowed her shadow to speak, her animus to guide, and herself to emerge. In this way, individuation became not a harsh struggle, but a dance, sometimes turbulent, sometimes serene, but always moving toward wholeness and authenticity. As she progressed on her path, Sarah found herself drawn to creative expression. She began painting, allowing colors and forms to flow onto the canvas without judgment or preconception. Each piece became a visual representation of her inner landscape. Dark corners, illuminated by streaks of light, chaotic swirls giving way to harmonious patterns. Through this artistic process, she accessed parts of herself that words alone could not reach, bringing unconscious elements into conscious awareness. Sarah's relationships, too, underwent a transformation. As she became more integrated within herself, her connections with others deepened. She found herself able to listen more attentively, to empathize more fully, and to express herself more authentically. Conflicts, when they arose, became opportunities for growth rather than sources of anxiety. She recognized that every interaction held the potential for mutual understanding and shared evolution. In her professional life, Sarah began to align her work with her values and inner calling. No longer content to simply follow a prescribed career path, she sought ways to infuse her daily tasks with meaning and purpose. This sometimes meant making difficult choices or taking risks, but she found that when her actions were in harmony with her true self, doors seemed to open and synchronicities abounded. As her journey continued, Sarah noticed a shift in how she perceived time and change. The future, once a source of anxiety, became a field of possibility. The past, rather than a burden of regrets, became a rich tapestry of experiences that had shaped her. She learned to live more fully in the present, recognizing each moment as an opportunity to express her authentic self. By the end of this stage, Sarah felt a profound sense of inner equilibrium. Her ego, once rigid and defensive, now moved in harmony with the unconscious. Her shadow no longer haunted her, but walked beside her as a valuable ally. Her animus offered strength and inspiration rather than conflict, and her conscious actions reflected the values and insights of the integrated self. Jung would say Sarah was living in alignment with the archetype of the self, balanced, aware, and whole. Though she knew the journey of individuation would continue for the rest of her life, Sarah now walked with clarity, authenticity, and resilience. Life was no longer a series of random events or unmanageable emotions. Instead, Each moment became an opportunity to express the entirety of her being, the conscious and unconscious, light and dark, masculine and feminine, in harmony. She had become her true self, not as a fixed destination, but as an ongoing process of growth, integration, and self-realization. As Sarah looked back on her journey, she realized that becoming her true self was not about reaching a final, perfect state. It was about embracing the continuous unfolding of her potential, accepting all aspects of herself, and living with greater awareness and intention. She understood that this path would have its challenges and setbacks, but she now faced them with a sense of curiosity and courage, knowing that each experience contributed to her ongoing evolution. In the quiet moments of reflection, Sarah felt a deep sense of gratitude for the journey she had undertaken. She recognized that becoming her true self was both a personal triumph and a gift to the world around her. By living authentically, she inspired others to do the same, creating ripples of positive change in her relationships, her community, and beyond. As she continued to walk her path, Sarah carried with her the wisdom of Jung's teachings, the strength of her integrated self, and the endless potential for growth and discovery that lay ahead. As we embark on the journey of becoming our true selves, we begin to understand that this process is not a destination, but a living, breathing evolution. A continuous unfolding of consciousness, awareness, and integration. All the lessons we learn from our shadow, our anima or animus, archetypal encounters, relationships, and symbolic practices converge into a central realization. The self is not separate from us, but the very essence of our being, waiting to be fully acknowledged. We notice subtle but profound shifts in our everyday lives. Decisions are no longer driven solely by fear, habit, or social expectation. We approach challenges with clarity and presence, balancing rational thought with intuition. The anger that once erupted uncontrollably now appears as a signal, a message from the shadow urging reflection and authenticity. The creative energies we may have neglected for years flow naturally, enriching our work, hobbies, and personal lives. Every action feels aligned, as if guided by an internal compass rooted in wholeness. Our dreams evolve too. The chaotic, shadow-filled landscapes are replaced by more harmonious visions, circular patterns, radiant figures, and interconnected archetypal images. The mysterious figure of our anima or animus no longer appears as a guide or challenger, but as a familiar companion, reflecting our integrated emotional and intuitive faculties. The shadow, too, transforms from a fearful pursuer into a source of strength, creativity, and wisdom. In Jungian terms, these dreams are the unconscious communicating that the conscious ego has begun harmonizing with the deeper self. Relationships, once a source of projection and conflict, become opportunities for genuine connection. We no longer react impulsively or seek validation from others. Instead, we can engage authentically, seeing people as mirrors but not masters of our inner lives. Friends and family sense a quiet strength and presence in us, a calm rooted in authenticity rather than ego. The individuation process grants us the freedom to love, relate, and contribute without losing ourselves in the process. Spiritually, we feel a sense of connectedness with life that we may have never experienced before. Jung described individuation as the alignment of the ego with the self, the center of consciousness that unites opposites and bridges the personal with the universal. We now sense that we are part of something larger than ourselves, a living, dynamic universe in which our lives are both unique and intimately connected to the whole. This realization does not remove suffering, uncertainty, or challenge, but it provides a profound sense of purpose, direction, and resilience. As we reflect on the lessons of individuation, we come to understand that the shadow must be embraced. The hidden, denied, or feared parts of ourselves are not enemies, but allies when recognized and integrated. We learn that our anima and animus guide us towards balance, engaging with our inner feminine or masculine to bring depth, intuition, and emotional harmony to our lives. We discover that archetypes illuminate our path. Universal patterns such as the hero, wise old man, and self provide guidance through life's trials. We begin to notice synchronicity, signaling alignment. Meaningful coincidences and reflections in the outer world confirm the ongoing dialogue between our conscious and unconscious minds. Perhaps most importantly, we realize that individuation is lifelong. There is no final endpoint. Self-realization unfolds continuously as life evolves, offering new layers of insight and wholeness. This journey of becoming our true selves is both profoundly personal and universally human. Every challenge, every dream, every encounter becomes a reflection of the inner work required to become whole. Jung's vision of the self is no longer an abstract concept. It becomes living and tangible in our daily experience. We feel a quiet peace, not the absence of struggle, but the presence of alignment, authenticity, and completeness. Life's storms still arise, but we no longer fear them. Each wave of emotion, each challenge, each triumph is an opportunity to express our integrated self. We become living embodiments of Jung's ultimate goal, people conscious of our inner depths, aware of the universal patterns within us, and fully engaged with the wholeness of our being. Individuation, we understand, is the lifelong journey of embracing the totality of oneself. Shadow and light, masculine and feminine, conscious and unconscious, and living in harmony with the self. And in that journey, we find not only our true selves, but a profound sense of meaning, freedom, and fulfillment. As we continue on this path, we may notice that our perception of time shifts. The present moment becomes richer, more vibrant, as we learn to fully inhabit our experiences without constantly projecting into the future or dwelling in the past. This heightened awareness allows us to savor the simple joys of life. The warmth of sunlight on our skin, the laughter of a child, the taste of a home-cooked meal, with a newfound appreciation. Our creativity blossoms in unexpected ways, whether through art, music, writing, or problem-solving in our professional lives. We find ourselves tapping into a wellspring of inspiration that seems to flow from the depths of our integrated psyche. Ideas and insights emerge with greater clarity and frequency, often surprising us with their originality and depth. The way we handle conflict and adversity transforms. Instead of reacting defensively or aggressively, we approach difficulties with a sense of curiosity and openness. We recognize that every challenge carries within it the seeds of growth and self-discovery. This shift in perspective allows us to navigate life's ups and downs with greater resilience and wisdom. Our relationships deepen and become more authentic. As we learn to accept and integrate all aspects of ourselves, we naturally extend this acceptance to others. We become better listeners, more empathetic friends, and more supportive partners. The masks we once wore in social situations fall away, replaced by a genuine presence that others find magnetic and inspiring. We may find ourselves drawn to practices that nurture our connection to the self. Meditation, journaling, dream work, or spending time in nature become not just occasional activities, but integral parts of our daily lives. These practices serve as touchstones, helping us maintain our alignment with our true selves, even amidst the chaos and demands of modern life. Our sense of purpose evolves. No longer driven solely by external markers of success or societal expectations, we begin to align our actions with our deepest values and inner truths. This might lead to significant life changes. a career shift, a move to a new location, or a re-evaluation of long-held beliefs. Whatever form it takes, this alignment brings a sense of rightness and authenticity to our choices. As we continue to integrate the various aspects of our psyche, we may experience moments of profound insight, or even what Jung called numinous experiences, encounters with the transcendent that leave us forever changed. These experiences, while often difficult to put into words, confirm our connection to something greater than ourselves and deepen our commitment to the individuation process. The journey of becoming our true selves is not always easy. There are moments of doubt, periods of struggle, and times when we may feel lost or overwhelmed. But we come to understand that these challenges are not obstacles to our growth, but essential parts of it. Each difficulty we face and overcome strengthens our connection to our authentic selves and expands our capacity for compassion, wisdom, and love. As we progress on this path, we begin to embody a paradox. We become both more uniquely ourselves and more deeply connected to others and the world around us. Our individuality blossoms even as we recognize our fundamental unity with all of life. This integration of the personal and the universal brings a profound sense of peace and purpose to our existence. Ultimately, the journey of becoming our true selves is a sacred adventure, a hero's quest that each of us is called to undertake. It requires courage, perseverance, and a willingness to face our deepest fears and highest aspirations. But the rewards are beyond measure, a life lived with authenticity, purpose, and a deep sense of fulfillment. As we embrace this journey, we become beacons of light in a world that often seems dark and fragmented. Our very presence becomes an invitation to others to embark on their own paths of self-discovery and integration. And in this way, our personal journey of individuation ripples outward, contributing to the healing and evolution of the collective consciousness of humanity.